Our speaker for today is Dr. Binoy Saikia. Dr. Binoy Saikia is Principal Scientist and Head of Coal and Energy Division at CSIR Northeast Institute of Science and Technology, Jorhat, Assam. He received his MSc, a Master of Science in Chemistry, and PhD in Chemistry in 2001 and 2008, respectively. He's among top 2% energy scientists as recognized by Stanford and among the top 100 Asian scientists in 2021. Dr. Saikia has received Assam Saurabh, the second highest civilian award from the government of Assam. In addition to a number of awards from professional societies, Professor Saikia was the 2021 recipient of Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize, the highest Indian science award for outstanding contributions in the field of science and technology. Dr. Saikia's contributions are primarily on energy environmental sectors, process chemistry, carbon nanomaterials, aerosol chemistry, and energy storage devices. He has more than 150 peer-reviewed research publications and 5 patents, including an Indian and US patent for the production of blue fluorescent carbon quantum dots from Indian coal. He is also associated with many science journals as a reviewer, including ACS, and special issue editor, and serves as the editor of International Journal of Coal Science and Technology and as the lead guest editor of International Journal Oil, Gas, and Coal Technology and Journal of Spectroscopy. Has delivered more than 50 scientific talks. So thank you, Professor Saikia, for joining us today. The stage is all yours.
It is a very small curiosity. Everybody have this curiosity on the carbon, everything is, if we look around, the carbon is everywhere. But, thing is that still carbon research has not been, many ways to go. And the sentence, some text I put it that, it is a stuff of coal and soot and radiocarbon dating pencils, graphite. And these are starting materials of, the Nobel, till now, as if I'm if I am correct, more than two, Nobel, more than two, I think many got a Nobel Prize in relation to the carbon. And the latest this year Nobel Prize goes to the quantum dot. So, that is a curiosity, and why carbon is getting so much interesting, and there's a great possibilities of getting new science, technology, innovation. And this text, this sentence was, published in 2010, but you see, in 2010, when the graphene got the Nobel Prize, and now this year, again, the three scientists have got a Nobel Prize in carbon. So this was curiosity for last, for my case, it was last for 10 years, more than equal to 10 years. So why, but this is true that, this carbon materials, basically, as far as we know, that nanotubes, graphene, fullerenes, or multi-wall carbon nanotube, it has a lot of application. I think I will not go details in this slide. This is a very general slide. But what in my perspective, or in my view, what I want to present through this slide is that we should, we are concentrating on particularly on the energy, environment, and agriculture, because this carbon, they have a very high in the application. This is true. But if we can do something for the direct society through the these are the three major areas in my perspective, that the energy, environment, agriculture, then it will be more suitable for the society. So why they are interesting, I think everybody knows, but why I'm putting it is that there are two ways of synthesis of carbon nanomaterial in the bulk quantities. One of the major components, one of the major aim of our research group is to have a bulk amount of carbon nanomaterial, like like carbon nanotube, or like a graphene, or like quantum dot. So these are the one of the major objective of my research is that how we can get in a mass scale production. So which method is based, top down or bottom up? These are the main issue. And otherwise, the applications is already, we know the most important, most futuristic applications for carbon nanomaterial is the biomedical applications, and also the optical, because of the optical properties, it has a different application, including the optoelectronics and as well as the energy storage devices. So, so this is the challenge we faced before 5 years, that how we can get a bulk amount of carbon nanotube. Let's example carbon nanotube or carbon dot. So this was the curiosity. Then when I was doing my R&D with the coal beneficiation, because I am metal scientist, I can say I'm a mineralogist, but then I thought, this coal could be a huge source, is an abundant source for making a large amount of the mass scale production of carbon nanomaterial, which has not been explored I think very scarce. There's lack of attempt in this line. So this was the curiosity we started in 2016, 17 onwards. Then we found that yes, this coal could be a major precursor material for synthesis of carbon dots, graphene, activated carbon. This is well known. Activated carbon is well known, but these nanodiamonds, the three carbon dot, graphene, and diamonds could be the source of this material. And but the thing is that we have to have a process, or have to have a look into the basic chemistry or the basic science of conversion of this raw material, of this precursor, into this required advanced carbon material for the future. So carbon dot, we all know, now we know better after getting this Nobel Prize, these three scientists, this is a very futuristic material because of its exceptional properties, including the fluorescence properties and the size, and also the most interesting property of carbon dot in comparison to the conventional others, the quantum dots like metallic. The carbon quantum dots has its non-toxicity. It is very less toxic, and even is no toxic in certain concentration, and also that is why it is biocompatible, and so it can be utilized for medical and other diagnostic applications. And thing is that it is very synthesis also is very simple and very easy, but how to get a mass scale, that was our challenge. So the available methods is already there. So carbon quantum dots, they have some of the available methods. There are some available precursors, but when we found that, when we done the literature, we found that those precursor materials, those methods is not possible for going to the mass scale. So we have concentrated on the particularly the chemical oxidation and the ultrasonic synthesis, and then have the modification, the filtration processes. Then we found that yes, the coal could be a source of things, a source of conversion to the quantum dot. But the thing is that what the science behind is that our particularly coal, this I can say that I tried with different countries' coal also, but we find that the low rank coal, particularly the if anyone for the geological background, they will understand the subbituminous tank, that is the low rank coal, that is very easy to exfoliate for the aromatic rings consisting of graphitic carbon. That was the discovery made by us, that the low grade coal could be very easily exfoliated to make a carbon quantum. So this is the process, and the solution is what I'm telling is that it should be indigenous for a specific country like India also. If we have a good reserve of coal, so if we can make it indigenously, so this will be a benefit for any country. Like they can utilize their own resources in a very less expensive way, and they have a very high-end applications in the future. So this process, this Indian coal processes, we got we got the granted patent from USA as well as from India. Also, we have granted a patent in which we found that the mass scale production from the low grade coal carbon quantum dot can be produced very easily, very efficiently, and with a very high quality quantum dot parameters which are available in the market produced from other precursors. So some of the points, important points of our I can say CSI needs the quantum dot. They have a they absorb very effectively. The quantum yield is very high and low cost of production, and also non-toxic. And interestingly, these are excitation dependent, so it can be tunable as per requirement depending on the functionality and the size. And it is very highly water soluble, which makes its biocompatibility and for using in medical science researches. So the chemistry of the raw material, if I say, you can say that coal is nothing, but a carbonaceous material, it has around 70 to 80% of carbon is there. Interestingly, they have a nitrogen and also the sulfur. So those have a very good impact in their fluorescence properties, and because of the functional group, this can also be helping in the getting the different emission. But particularly, we have got now blue and green emission is very prominent in our studies. So this is the spectroscopic, the electron beam electron microscopic analysis, we got sizes in between 10 nanometer size, and also you can see we are also getting some higher sizes, so that can be also the graphene quantum dot can also be present, and it has a very interesting emission, color, blue emission in the UV light at the when exposure to UV light, and this could be also the excitation dependent because it changes with the intensity with the excitation sources, and this is also very interesting. What I want to show is that people are trying around the world. I have seen in the literature they are doping, externally adding the nitrogen dope quantum dot or sulfur dot quantum dot, but it has sometimes I call it as in a different language that buy one get one offer. If you can prepare the quantum dot from coal, you will automatically, I mean in situ, in situ co-dot nitrogen and sulfur, which can improve or which can increase its properties for required applications. So our this coal derived quantum dot has also the in situ code of nitrogen and sulfur that can which is required by many researchers in their application field. So this also we have tried, and we got a very interesting sulfur and nitrogen quantum dot, and we found that those nitrogen and sulfur are basically organically bound, so which makes it also interesting to give the requisite emission at a visible region. We can see that in the XPS, we done the XPS, and we found that the sulfur is basically related to the carbon and also to the oxygen, and also the nitrogens are pyrolytic and amine nitrogens are there. So this is also interesting property, which makes it a very efficient color emitting quantum dot. And then this is, I think, we also studied why when we're going to the absorption spectroscopy, we found that as you've seen in the FTIR and XPS studies, there are the carbon-carbon double bond, carbon-oxygen double single bond. So in that, the pi star and to pi star transition, because of the dose transition, these are giving in the blue region around 400 to 480 or this emission is. But we also try to change this emission, and we found a little bit changes in the color. You can see in the a different coal having a little bit go to the greenish cyan emission. So that is that can be also done, but I find it also challenging because of the dose sulfur and nitrogen dope to make a different emission. So that is another work is going on how to make it in red or other emissions. So this is also interesting, and this work is now it is going on. So in another then we tried also to see whether the most demanding thing, what I feel that is a white light. So is it possible to make a white light LED solid, to make a LED devices out of the coal-based quantum dot? Then it will be a very cheap. So I told you that curiosity makes me to think of application. So I thought that if I can make it from coal, this quantum dot with a white light emitting, then it will be very easy to make a LEDs, which will be a very cheap in order to using the other available these semiconductors of getting the white light. So in this case, we have done an experiment, and I'm happy that it was published recently in the ACS Omega journal, in which we gave an organic and polymer matrix, and we found that after depositing, after applying with the organic matrix, it simply gives a white light, and with a very high quantum yield, about 31%, and it lasts for we find it lasts for several months. So it could be a very good lead and very good applications, which makes it more applied research out of this coal, giving it a very alternative utilization of utilizing such natural carbonaceous sources. And we also optimize, with different type of raw material. This is a table. I will not go into details in the table, but you can see that we've done a lot of samples, precursors in different temperatures, different time. And we found that it optimized. In the next slide, I also, we found that with reference to the available literature, some of the latest and some of the prominent literature, we found and we compared that this coal-based quantum dot or quantum mill are much more higher in other raw material, like, and other methods and other drastic method. You can see the acid oxidations done by the Ye et al. And the ultrasonic assisted and the microwave. Microwave is a very, very drastic treatment, laser ablation, high costly. So we found a very simple oxidation method, although we have used ultrasonic, but chemical oxidation applying with the without inorganic acid. We have not applied any inorganic acid. So our quantum mill is, you can see that we got around 21.95%, the maximum quantum mill with the subbituminous score of Northeast India. And yeah, then we optimized and we found that the maximum of quantum mill we can get out of the several coal sample with different properties or different chemical constituents, particularly the carbon and nitrogen. We found that maximum 10% of quantum mill is always possible. It is possible with different type of carbon containing coal. So, and in this case, we considered the hydrogen peroxide concentrations and ultrasonic time, frequency. So after that, we optimize this process. In this case, actually, what is happening, we suggested one mechanism, just what is happening and how carbon dot form from the coal structure. Actually, coal is nothing. Let me explain that coal is aliphatic and aromatic components are there, and particularly particularly in this subbituminous rank, or in particular most of the coal, I can say the more than 75% carbon are aromatically bound. So in our case, it is about 74% carbon aromatic. And when applying the oxidation in presence of ultrasonic energy, there is a we have used the oxidizing agent, and then in presence of oxygen, it get oxidized, and in the same time, this is I can say a metamorphic type of reactions in which bone breaking and bone formation is happening to lead the formation of graphene quantum dot or carbon quantum dot. So this reaction, actually, it is a hypothesis, and this hypothesis, because coal is a heterogeneous chemistry, let me say, but this hypothesis has been well established, and we established from the experimental observations, and this has also been published in Sustainable Chemistry and Engineering. And if we go for applications, then definitely, the application scientists or application people will ask whether it is toxic, whether it will affect the DNA or the gene, because for biomedical or for the medical science applications, this toxicity is most important. So we have performed the cell toxicity, cell biology study, and also the DNA fragmentation. We found a very good and very excellent results where cell damage and also the DNA fragmentation or damage is very, very there is no case up to 24 hours of applications and at a maximum concentration of 200 microgram per ml. So it is absolutely non-toxic material which is made from coal, as like the others quantum dots made from the very pure sources. And then also we are applying to see whether this carbon quantum dot can have an image of the cells, including cancer cell. So we have, this is a preliminary study, and we found that, we find with the cancer cells, and we found that, and doing the control study also. So there is an intensity variation you can see in the B, C, and D, and the below two images. So there is a variation of colors, and you could see the location of the cancer cells. So what we are observing, or what we can go ahead with that, this quantum dots is a very, very cheap and very, very simply prepared quantum dot can also replace those of the contrasting agent or those of the agent which are already been used. But yes, of course, this needs further researches, and we are now working on the animal study whether to see is can be really applied in the animal to detect the cancer cell line. But this was a study which has been established, which has given us a lead that this coal-based quantum dot can also be utilized for medical researches. And this is another the application, as I told you, there's energy, environment, agriculture. These are the three things our group is mainly concentrating. So in case of the agriculture, where we have got a liters of quantum dot. From coal, anybody, somebody can get a, I can say the liters of 10 liters, 50 liters of quantum dot water solutions. So that is why if it can be used for the fertilizer, so we have tested with a plant. This is stevia is a sweetener plants. Then we have made a study whether to see how the physical and the metabolic changes occurs in the plants, and we found that after doing a 3 to 6 months experiment, we found that the physical growth has also been very interestingly or encouragingly increased, and also some of the metabolites, like including the antioxidants, have been increased with different time period, of course. And then in a summary, we find that yes, of course, it can work as a nano fertilizer, or it can work as a plant growth promoting agents, which is a very, very simply we have treated with the stevia plant, and it can be also applied to the other plants of interesting medicinal values. And other one of the carbonaceous waste is the air pollutant. We know, air pollutant, particularly carbonaceous particulates, is going to be a very, very huge concern in most of the developing countries and also in developed countries. So this is also curiosity, I can say. And this air pollutant is nothing but a carbonaceous products, and basically it also consists of black carbon. So our curiosity to see whether this black carbon can be collected or can be deposited, and then can be converted to value-added products. And in a very, very exciting experiment, we found that these air pollutants or the carbonaceous particulate matters has been converted to nanodiamonds, which is a very, very futuristic material for the future, and also very high cost material, which has been also featured in one of the international magazine, which I shown in the earlier slide. So you can see the nanodiamond structure. It is very useful as for biocompatibility, functional versatility, and also it is applied in drug delivery. And I want to say that this nanodiamonds is more demandable carbon quantum dot, because of its non-toxicity. It is very high demanding than quantum dot. That is the curiosity. When I came to know that this nanodiamond is more demanding or more specialty, then we try to see whether it can be done. And you can see the cost is also is not very high. A 1 gram is a very high cost, into $10 to $20. So this was the curiosity, and we tried to see whether this coal or air pollutant can be seen. And we have made an experiment. Let me say that the same process, but curiosity, it is not that our curiosity is very diverse. Our curiosity is the same process we applied, and we found that this coal and as well as the air pollutant, the air pollutant waste, black carbons are also converted to very nicely, the hexagonal shapes you can see in the transmission electron microscope. You can see, we also compared this transmission electron microscope with the standard diamond structure. We found that it is absolutely similar with the crystal sizes in between 0.2 to 0.23 nanometers, and it established that yes, the particles are converted in a very, not very, but it's a very quickly converted to nanodiamonds in a simple process. So the samples we have collected from different commercial areas, including the railway stations or market or business places. Then we oxidize with the same process as applied to the coal, and we found that this quantum dots with having blue fluorescence image was very nicely converted. So these carbonaceous aerosols are nothing but they have some particulates in the size less than 10 micron, less than 2.5 micron, and also 0.1 micron. So these are three sizes particulates are there. So we have performed 3 different sizes, and we found that these sizes can be very separated with applications with the the ultrafiltration techniques. You can see the flow chart also. I have seen there are only the 4 or 5 steps are there. It's very simple, and it has been also in the process of granting from US and from India. So these are the electron beam analysis of the diamond particles made from the air pollutant, and we compared to the standard. We found that the sizes are, nanodiamonds particle sizes are a little bit higher than the quantum dot, but also we got a very smaller size particles in the range of 2 to 5 nanometers. So this compared with the standard. And then also we see the nanodiamonds structure from the Raman spectroscopy, and we found that after comparing with the standard diamonds, we found that it consists of D and Z band, but also the diamond peaks has been also confirmed in the X-ray diffraction and the Raman spectroscopy. And this functionalization and stability of diamond is very important. So we also try to see whether the stability, and we found a zeta potential of in the negative regions, -24. So it establishes, or it says that the diamond's particles are very much stable, which has been made from this type of waste materials. So it can be applied for different applications. And also the optical properties, we have found that yes, it is in the blue region, particularly in the blue regions, emission around 400 to 450 nanometers, but it is also excited dependent, which is very necessarily for the diagnostic applications. You can see in this slide we try to see the toxicity as well as the bioimaging of some of the cell lines, and we found that it is very interestingly emitting the blue fluorescence in cell. In the right side of image, you can see it emitting different intensity of blue fluorescence, which can diagnose or which can be utilized or which can be applied to see the location of the cells and the characteristics of cells. But of course, this cell biological study, of course, it needs more details whether how this quantum dot is interacting with the cells, in which part of the cell, like mitochondria or cytoplasm. A lot of things are there, but as a lead, I can say that this waste derived, what we want to establish, that these waste derived quantum dots, waste derived nanodiamonds are very suitable, and it is no longer a waste after conversion to these particles. And the third things, this is a more applied as lab to land. We want to make coal, which is regarded as a polluting, but we want to make it non-polluting in the sense of controlling the emission, carbon dioxide emission, because if coal is combusted conventionally, then it will produce the carbon dioxide. So we don't want to combust it. We want to use in a non-power sector, but in the energy sector. The power and non-power, these two things are there. So in this case, we have done the prepared the activated carbon. Of course, it is a known thing, but what I want to see that, or I want to make it that, this activated carbon we have utilized in making supercapacitors of very cheap cost, and we also made the cost of production of these things. And we found that it is comparable to commercial. You can see the comparison of our coal-based activated carbon and the commercial activated carbon. We done the electrochemistry. We found that this has a comparable capacitance, specific capacitance, and the potential around 2.7 volt, which is is comparable with the commercially available activated carbon that can be produced in a low cost of production. And then we made a pouch cell, because we have to go to the application field, I told you. Then after getting the materials, we made a pouch cell. We made a supercapacitor pouch cell of the coal-derived carbon. Then we compared with the commercial, and we found that yes, this is also, you can see in the results, you can see their surge research and also the resistance properties in the Nyquist plot. You can see the significantly, considerably similar type, or in a better, you can say in the pouch cell too, you can see the better parameters of the pouch cell that is very suitable for utilizing particularly in the energy test bed. I'll go to the next slide. Then this is a schematic view how we made it, activated carbon. Then we made electrode. Then we made a pouch cell. Then this pouch cell, we made a stack, stack of pouch cell to be required amount of potential, to require amount of capacitance. And we will try to see, in research, what I think, also I must say that, what is written in the ACS, the chemistry for life, what the chemistry we are doing, that should be, what I can say directly related to the life of people, life of human. So that is the purpose of our study. If I make a coal to active carbon, it is not a new. Somebody would say this coal to active carbon is the only known things. But what we want to demonstrate is that this coal-based the supercapacitor, which is a CEP, and I can say indigenous for India, then it can be applied to electric vehicle. We have applied e-rickshaw. Maybe some countries are not able to understand this. It's a three-wheelers, and it is very, very popular in some of the peoples in some of the countries. So, and these are very easy to run. Some such type of cart is also available in the Gulf Port of the US or some European countries. So this is battery operated. So we want to replace those lithium-ion battery, not replace with, integrated with the lithium-ion battery to make it a low cost or a hybrid battery, which will be very effective in some conditions, particularly in the acceleration or particularly in the starting of the vehicle. Thank you. Thank you very much for hearing.